So inflation is one of the wealth killers we want you to be aware of, but some of inflation is a little bit outside of our control, especially on the consumer non-discretionary goods that we have to buy. This next one I do think is in our control, and I think it can be even more detrimental of a wealth killer than inflation, and it's comparison.
Yeah, this is one of those things, I don't know if it's because I'm of a certain age, a certain generation, but I know, and for a company that we build clients, we build relationships off social media, it does make me sad that social media does lead people to base things off of comparison, meaning what is out there on Instagram, what is out there on Facebook. And I don't necessarily think that that is a great thing for us humans in general.
Yeah, there have been a number of studies conducted over the last decade that suggest that those who spend more time on social media have significantly higher levels of depression. So not only is it affecting your financial life, it's affecting your mental health, which can affect all the other facets of your life. So you have to really pay attention to this because it can affect you mentally and emotionally, but it can also affect you financially. Let's talk about some of the ways that specifically it's a wealth killer to your finances.
Yeah, I was talking about this in our content meeting for years back. This is pre-2008. People, when they were pushing people thinking real estate never lost value, never went down, they were like, just buy and stretch and buy as much house as you possibly afford. You won't even be the poorest person on your street. If you could buy the smallest house on the nicest street, that is going to be a wealth hack. And I always was like, no, do not do that. Because I knew about this comparison thing. Because if you hear the saying that we are the 5 people we hang out with the most. And if you are the person that is the poorest among all your friends, peers, neighbors, I'm telling you, it's going to have an impact on you. You'd much rather be the comfortable one or hang out with people not only who push you, but just you feel comfortable in your own skin, and that will keep you from letting that comparison be the thief of all your future joy.
Yeah, I think one reality that you can rest on is that there will always be someone that has more money than you, and there will always be someone that has less money than you. And you need to recognize and figure out how you can live in that tension. Just because so-and-so has the nicer car, has the bigger house, or goes on the nicer vacation does not necessarily mean that's what makes the most sense for you right now in this part of your financial journey. And the more you can recognize that, the more likely you are not to fall into this comparison trap.
So, Bo, let me ask you, how can you do it better? I know you've got a unique perspective on this.
Yeah, so the first thing I said is get off the sauce, right? Like, this isn't really interesting. Well, now, for me personally, I don't think it was comparison, but I have gotten off of social media. I'm not on Facebook anymore. I'm not on Instagram, and I'm not suggesting that those are bad things necessarily, but here's what I have noticed. Now that I'm not on it, I didn't like them because I was wasting time. Like, you just sit there and you death scroll and you're like, man, where'd that 20 minutes go? I think that's bad. But what I have noticed is I'm also not paying attention to, what's so-and-so got going on? What's the car so-and-so drives? What's the vacation so-and-so? Oh, okay, what's the home renovation? It's the highlight reel. And one of the things that I recognize is by getting that out from in front of me, I just don't think about it as much. What I really think about is, okay, who are the people that I'm doing life with? What are the things they actually have going on in their lives? Not the person that I went to high school with 20 years ago and I haven't seen in 20 years. Why do I care about the new car that they got? It doesn't matter. And so I think if you are someone who struggles with this, perhaps finding ways that you can limit yourself and get off of those types of social medias, maybe you'll prevent yourself again from falling into that trap.
And another thing I like, because it ties into the education side of things, is if you're trying to figure out how you can do it better, is actually educating yourself on what wealthy people actually spend their money on.
Absolutely.
Because I think, look, we live in a consumption society. There are entire industries trying to say, hey, you'll look younger, you'll look sexier, you will feel better about yourself if you'll just give us a few bucks and buy this product. I made a joke because I was doing some research and I went and looked at advertisements for like Corvettes.
Okay.
And if you go on YouTube, I challenge you, go try to pull up whatever commercials are being put out by General Motors on Corvettes. And you're going to notice everybody who drives the car is young. They're looking like they're having a great time, and they're somewhat attractive.
Sure.
And then you go and you peel behind the curtain and you look and see what the average purchase age for a Corvette is, and it's greater than 60.
It's not the young, attractive person
and that's
having a great
that was
time.
the joke I was telling the content team is I was like, look, nobody who's actually the general demographic that buys this car is actually in the commercial. So I would highly encourage you, do not be susceptible to what the consumption purveyors are pushing out there. Actually know what wealthy people spend money on, because there is this premise, and there's actually a lot of research that's found that lower income Americans spend a greater portion of their income on visible goods like watches, jewelry, clothing. And we even did, and we could totally do it again, where we could show Jay-Z, we could show Zuckerberg, we could show the Bill Gates, all the disheveled billionaires who it seems like the richer they get, the poorer they dress. I mean, it's just some realities to that. So don't fall into that consumption trap.
So I think one of the things that you can do is you can build a community around yourself that cares more about your net worth and your balance sheet and your savings rate than cares about what car you have in your driveway. And you may say, well, I don't talk to people about money. That's kind of a taboo subject. I would encourage you, I got 2 places for you to go check out, because financial mutants love to gravitate and surround themselves with other financial mutants. And one of the things I love seeing is when I was on Facebook and I went and saw our Facebook page, I love seeing the interactions of people saying, hey, I'm thinking about making this decision, or hey, I just hit this savings rate, or hey, I just hit this milestone. And everybody can kind of cheer for those good decisions. We have that exact same thing going out on our Reddit page. It is an entire community of folks who think like we do and talk about the things that actually matter when it comes to wealth building, not the stuff that you see on social media that really doesn't matter when it comes to living your best tomorrow.
And then the last thing I'll say to close this out is kind of to build some wisdom on knowing what makes you happy. We do a show on the 5 levels of wealth, and when you get to level 5, abundance, it's really knowing who you are, what you value, and what you spend your time and brings you purpose. And when I say like know who you are, how do you feel comfortable in your own skin? I mean, that's one of the things with all these things whispering in your ear, telling you good decisions, bad decisions, and how to live your best life. If you would actually, in the stillness, in the quietness, try to figure out what do you actually get value out of, what brings you happiness, I think that's an exercise that more Americans could benefit from, because then it's going to let you, when the next person or next industry tries to push on you consumption, you're like, no, that's not actually what brings me happiness. That's moving the goalpost. That's probably going to push me into debt. That's not going to be a decision that actually brings me to where I want to be financially and in life.